WN to get into a conversation with this guy this week. He famously purchased the first ever Lamar Jackson jersey right around, I believe, about 11:42 p.m. On draft night. We welcome Dennis Koulatsos back on. Of course, from Coons Florida Security Boulevard. He'll be holding down the fort here on Thursday. Dennis, I might just turn the whole station over to you on Monday and Tuesday next week if this team goes out to Kansas City and beats the Kareem Hunt-less Chiefs. Brother, I'm going to be on the phone all week with Kansas City people. All week long we'll be talking about all of this. But what a wild place we're at right now. And I couldn't help but ask John Harbaugh, in the midst of the post-game scrum there with all six of us who made the trip down to Atlanta from the Baltimore media in front of him. And just where he was after Pittsburgh, right? And 4-5, he's out, they're out, Flacco's out, everybody's out. And now where this season is and whatever this magic carpet ride is, but this has really been something for him, something for the organization. I think Joe will get back out on the field. I think Joe will do things that will help them win football games here down the stretch. I believe that. I'm going to stand by that. I think he'll be afforded that opportunity one way or another. And I think they're going to play a football game in January, Dennis. I really do.
Well, I hope you're right, Nestor. As long as they keep winning, I don't know what everybody's up in arms about. To me, there is no quarterback controversy. Just win, baby. You have to trust the coaching staff to put the players out there that will help give us the best chance of winning. What I thought about Sunday was that conversation you and I had about John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin, and it's just funny how at this stage of the season, 12 games in, Harbaugh 7-5, where Mike Tomlin 7-4-1 after Sunday night.
It's incredible, right? I mean, yeah, McCarthy's out of work. Hey, McCarthy's out of work. Aaron Rodgers is playing Matt Ryan this week, and it means nothing, right? I mean, the league's upside down. It really is, and that's what makes it so much fun for all of us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to go to bed early Sunday night, but, you watch the Chargers. They're hanging around at halftime. And I tweeted out, this is not good for Pittsburgh. They haven't been able to put this team away. It's not a good thing to let them hang around. And guess what? The Chargers got their second win in the second half, and 3 offside penalties later and a 29-yard field goal. The Steelers found themselves at 7-4-1 with 4 games left to play. I believe they got to play the Chargers. I'm sorry, play the Chargers, the Saints, the Chiefs, the Raiders and the Bengals. Oh, Patriots. I'm sorry, the Patriots and the Bengals.
Right.
And even a Bengals game, that's a divisional game. It's a rivalry game. Guys are playing for their jobs. Marvin Lewis is playing for his job. So anything can happen. They have a tough stretch, as tough as the Baltimore Ravens, if not tougher. So everything is on the table. The division crown still very much up for grabs. Couldn't ask for a better scenario that given where the Ravens started the Super Bowl at the middle of the season, the 4-5 skid, and now having won 3 straight. And I don't expect the team to apologize for their opponents. They can't pick their opponents. All they can do is beat whoever's on the schedule. And thank goodness they've gone 3-0. Thank goodness they're 7-5. The Colts lost. I mean, they've improved their position in terms of making the postseason. And like you, I believe they will be playing some football in January, which is a great thing for the fan base.
Dennis, it's amazing because the game happens at such a speed, right? So just to pull back the mirror, or pull back the shades, I should say, and tell you where my head was at the end of the game. So I'm watching the game. It's unfolding. They're going to win. I kept wondering, is there going to be a Julio Jones miracle play like there was with Odell Beckham, or there has been with A.J. Green, or there has been with Antonio Brown, or any of those kind of receivers, right? So none of that happens, and I make my way. I'm the first one down into the interview room waiting, and all the other media guys came down. Jameson, Jeff Zrebeck, Schmuck, they're all down there, and no one knew the stats, right? And I grabbed the stats on my phone real quick, and I started reading it off, and I'm like, time of possession, 40-20? Are you kidding me? Like, that's 2 of 7 on third down one way, and the pass with Cook, and all the things that went wrong. 7 of 15, 2 of 9 on third down. Excuse me, for the Falcons. 7 of 15. 7 of 15 for the Ravens on third down, and even Harbaugh came to the podium and had no idea how lopsided the time of possession was, because I don't know that it felt that way or didn't feel that way within the framework of the game, because Atlanta has a high-powered thing, and they're always 3 plays away from scoring a touchdown. I've watched them play, and so is everybody else. But Marlon Humphrey was there. Weddle was there. Jimmy Smith was there. C.J. Mosley was there. Suggs was there. I mean, there was a lot going on. There's really a lot to recommend how they played the football game, what a dominant sort of effort it was for a road game in regard to being able to move the ball. And I see all the validity as well as the ugliness of this rugby style of game when you never look up and find yourself in 2nd and 17.
Mm-hmm. No, I think it's wonderful. The defense was on the field, Nestor, in the second half was shaved under 6 minutes. That's to me is the most telling statistic. I even had someone on social media call me out and said, look, the defense has to hate this style of offense. Why would this is somebody who clearly does not understand football, who's never played the game, who's never been on the field. I would think the defense love the fact that they were only on the field for 6 minutes. Are you kidding me? They're fresh. They're getting after the quarterback. Their tons aren't hanging out. And I guarantee you this, they wouldn't have it the other way where the defense was on the field for 40 minutes and the offense was on the field for 20 minutes. That just doesn't work. So you got a fresh defense. They're not beat up. They're able to get them off the field. As you mentioned, 2 out of 9 on third down against this explosive Falcons offense was nothing short of amazing. 131 total yards, Nestor, lowest amount of yardage by the Falcons since 1999. I mean, they completely shut them down, punched them in the mouth, took their lunch money. And on the flip side, Gus Edwards, 3.9 yards per carry, Lamar Jackson, 4.4, Ken Dixon, 4.6, and Ty Montgomery, 4.3. They were just gashing him, beating him up, playing big boy football on both sides of the wall. But this time of possession thing is big because when you face a high-powered offense like the Chiefs, you're not going to trade with it. You're not going to outscore them. So the way to beat the Chiefs is the same way they've won the last 3 games. Do not change the formula. Keep going forward with what you have and what's working.
I get these stat packs after the game I take out of the locker room, and I put the light on the plane over North Carolina, and I was reading it again and thinking, what if I missed the game, right? What if I just came in off the stat pack? I'd say, what in the world happened to make a game this lopsided and the running game? And you look down, you see the Gus bus. I mean, they had Kenneth Dixon in there running around at the end. And you talk about gassed. How gassed was the Falcons defense running around late third quarter, early fourth quarter when they had their hands on their hips? And Marshall Yanda and these guys, and even Stanley and the guys that are banged up are bearing down on them. And you're bringing in fresh tight ends. Here comes Max Williams off the bench. Here comes Nick Boyle in there to push you around a little bit. And even Harbaugh talking about the wide receivers blocking it in the framework of the running game, that a lot is being asked of them that isn't what was being asked of them 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And also flip it around, Nestor. Imagine you're a long-time season ticket holder of the Atlanta Falcons. You're sitting there in the second half, and your offense has the ball for 6 minutes. It's got to be like watching paint dry. It's got to be the most brutal way to lose a game. You're just getting punched in the mouth time and time again. Your defense can't get off the field. They can't stop the other offense on third down. Ravens, I believe, were 7 for 15 on third down. Time of possession was almost 40 minutes by the offense, 366 total yards versus 131. That disparity was just glaring, and it had to really stink to be a Falcon fan sitting there if they all sat there. And you looked like there were more Ravens fans at the game, even at kickoff, but it had to be empty there in the second half in terms of Falcon fans exiting the stadium quickly.
Well, Dennis, you've been down there before. I mean, the real story there is the SEC runs everything. And, I was in the Georgia Bulldogs headquarters on Saturday and Sunday, the roar of the crowd there, the despair after they blew a game, kind of the way this kind of was a Steelers game all over, right? I mean, the game was completely lopsided for half the game, and the team that was better in the first half got clobbered in the second half, and there was a lot of disappointment there, and a little bit of a malaise for now a 4-8 football team that, as I pointed out, things could be worse. They're going to Green Bay. Green Bay doesn't have a coach right now. And we were talking about, could that have happened to the Ravens over the last month if this Marty Morningwig thing didn't work, if this running game didn't work, if the Gus bus wasn't there. But one thing for sure, Dennis, Lamar Jackson has to throw the football better. And I sit here and, we could paint a candy apple red all day long and talk about how wonderful it is, and it is wonderful, and it is awesome. But number 5's coming back, and I don't know. You tell me where it is. You'll say, well, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Okay, fine. going out to Kansas City, and we'll get to the Kareem Hunt thing, and I'll let you get your social angle and all that, and where the league is, and how they're dealing with things in the post-Ray Rice era and the video era. But for 1 week here, lead me to believe they can go to Kansas City and win. The way they win is you can't stop this offense on first down, and therefore it's put in a good second down situation. And if they run it left and run it right, chances are in one of those runs, somebody's going to miss a tackle, somebody's going to set up a block, and this kid's going to make somebody miss. But when he does throw the football, it's almost like it's the last thing they want him to do is throw the football.
I think the biggest thing for me is that this team lost 3 straight with Joe Flacco under center. The last 3 games he played that were struggling. Joe just wasn't making good reads. Looked like he lost confidence in his offensive line. They've won 3 straight with Lamar Jackson. I think in terms of his accuracy, his throwing, what you see with him is what we saw when he was at Louisville. What you see is what you get. I mean, he threw for 9,049 yards in 3 years at Louisville, 69 touchdowns, 27 interceptions. I think he'll get better, but he'll get marginally better. This is who he is. The best way they can help him in 2019 is by getting him some receivers with some catch radius, the guys that can separate, which our receivers have a hard time doing. Of course, in Sunday's game, he missed a wide-open John Brown, but that's going to happen. This is who he is, but he excites the offense. He excites the defense. I think he's a little bit naive, which is a good thing. I don't think he understands how large the stage he's playing on. I mean, he's 21 years old.
No, he is very comfortable. And he's
right?
not a great press conference guy.
No.
He's not a deep thinker about a lot of this. It's instinctive at this point. I think reading defenses and all of that is something that will always be a work in progress for him. And I think much like everybody, I compare him, as much as everybody wants to compare him based on the color of his skin or the style of play to Michael Vick or running quarterbacks, I compare him more to Brett Favre. And he doesn't have the body for it, but the gunslinger thing in him, the fearlessness of throwing the football. And sometimes he's going to throw a ball, and sometimes he's going to throw a strike. You know what I mean? And that was the truth of Brett Favre. I mean, that's the truth of a lot of quarterbacks. I mean, Brady's so accurate, right? We've seen Roethlisberger go out there and after the play breaks down, do something really stupid with the ball. I mean, and that's going to be the joy and the pain of this, because he's going to cost us a football game throwing a pick late across the middle, across his body, he breaks every rule. And I don't know that they're ever, I mean, literally, I don't know they're going to coach that out of him, and we're always going to be on a high wire and until such point where he gets hurt. I mean, he almost got a concussion from Ronnie Stanley's foot, this week. I think every week he's going to wind up in the infirmary because every week he's going to get hit hard by someone. And I don't know the long play of that. It's kind of like a high school fling or a girl at the beach or it feels very short-lived. It doesn't feel like you can do this for 10 years. Doesn't feel like you can marry this, Dennis. I mean, I'm just being honest. It's fun, but it's so tightrope high wire. It really, really is. I mean, I'm having fun, though. I'm embracing it for what it is, This is a 4-5 football team 3 weeks ago, so don't let me, I'm on the Lamar and the Gus bus. I'm down. I'm down with all that, but it doesn't feel sustainable.
Look, I don't drink alcohol, but I did pop a cola yesterday. I think it was a root beer. I'm just enjoying the ride. I'm not letting anyone rain on my parade. To me, he's a dual-threat quarterback. I think he compares favorably with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun's a better passer at this stage. Lamar, of course, is not as accurate, but he does have better feet than Deshaun does. In terms of positives, in terms of reading defenses, the kid, you can see he's looking downfield. His eyes are downfield, so he is ahead of the curve in terms of what you see out of a rookie quarterback. So
well, that's how you throw for 9,000 yards, to your point.
He's got some gifts.
To your point, if he throws for 9,000 yards, it's not like he doesn't want to throw.
Sure.
Right.
I challenge anybody to roll the tape between 2016, between Clemson and Louisville, and just watch how he goes toe-to-toe with Deshaun Watson. And Deshaun Watson, his receivers in college were great receivers, right? All the Clemson receivers that have come to the NFL. But we can't name one receiver that in Louisville that Lamar Jackson was thrown to. So fasten your seatbelt. Enjoy it for what it is. Look, there's no telling that if Flacco starts against Kansas City, they'll have a better chance of beating the Chiefs. What it will do, it does make the Ravens easier to defend. At that point, you're playing 11 on 10 football because, of course, Flacco not a threat to run the ball. Lamar, you are playing 11 on 11 football. He does open up the middle for the running backs. I don't think it matters who the running back is at this point. I think Gus Edwards, yes, he's an anvil. He does give him extra. He can break those arm tackles, but we saw Ty Montgomery have some success. Ken Dixon, he does open up the middle of the field. He's very difficult to defend. You can't simulate what he brings you in practice. Quinn also said it. They had a wide receiver playing quarterback to try to simulate the speed of Watson, but what the wide receiver can't do is simulate his passing prowess. He is effective enough, and to me, if I'm John Harbaugh, and I like Harbaugh, and I hope he hangs around, and I hope Bisciotti extends him, because I'd love to have him coaching my team over Dan Quinn any day, and 3 times on Sunday, which is another story for another day.
No, it's not another story for another day. I mean, I think John Harbaugh's job security is right here, right now, because we've been talking about it for a month, and Joe Flacco's future, and Lamar Jackson's future, and Eric DeCosta, and what's going to happen at the end of all of this. Dennis, that narrative has changed dramatically here over the last month, and as dramatic as almost anything I've witnessed around here, even in the Super Bowl winning years. I don't know that there was nearly the kind of despair that we're going through with an 11th-year head coach, an 11th-year quarterback, and a gassed defense, and old Terrell Suggs, and an old Eric Weddle, and a older Marshall Yanda, and a wide receiver core that just couldn't get it together. And I'm talking about 3 weeks ago. We're talking about not a long time ago. For what I walked out of that locker room after the Pittsburgh game, where it looked like, boy, what happened in Green Bay Sunday could have happened here.
Well, there's a couple of things here. Marty Morningwake, I've beaten him up. We've all beaten him up over space and time. But I thought in Sunday's game, he called it good, maybe even a great game. And that's something that's gone under the radar. He really has done some great things in putting his team in position to score points and to stay ahead of the other team. If I'm Bisciotti, we still have a few games to go, but I would extend Harbaugh. He's not going to sign a one more lame duck year extension, so I'd give him 4 for 45. He's my coach, and then I would put immense pressure on Eric DeCosta and their front office to get him some better players. Right? They've missed with Ozzie Newsome since 2013. They've got to get this offense some better players. They've got to get younger. They're not in cap salary hell like they were in the last 3 or 4 or 5 years. They don't have any bad contracts hanging out there. They can save some cap money by moving away from Joe, if that's a decision that they're going to make. But I would absolutely extend this coach right here, right now. I would do it today, in fact, and then I would put immense pressure on DeCosta to get this coach some better players going forward and not hang him out to dry.
Dennis Koulatsos is our guest. Of course, he's out at Coons Ford of Security Boulevard, getting it done out there day and night. And, everything tastes a little better when you're 7-5, but there's no rest here, right? I mean, Kansas City coming up this week. They've now been hit, and this is where you get into running a business, and I get into running a brand and a business. And we talked long and hard about Roger Goodell and jurisprudence and where we are in the league. You and I had long conversations on and off the air about Ray Rice over the years. Assess all of this, not that we're playing the Chiefs this week, but just where you are in the Kareem Hunt thing, because it kind of came slowly to me over the weekend. I wasn't out in front of it. I sort of woke up to it on Sunday and paid more attention to it then. Now realizing I've booked all these Chiefs guests this week, I'll be talking about it all week. But, the league is just really has its head in the sand, doesn't it? The league has not gotten better at how to deal with this.
No, the league is full of hypocrisy, Nestor. I mean, the false narrative we get out of Kansas City is that Kareem Hunt lied to the team, and that's the reason why they're letting him go. In sharp contrast, Ray Rice told the truth. Ozzie Newsome, under oath, said that there was nothing on that video that Ray Rice didn't tell the team about, but the outcome was the same, and that's where the hypocrisy starts to set in. You also had a running back with the Ravens that was coming off of an injury on the back line of his career. Now you got a very productive, very explosive young running back on the front line of his career. I think he gets a job at some point. I don't know which team is going to step up and sign him. Might as well be the Redskins, just based on the Reuben Foster recent signing. I mean, how much more of a PR hit can they take? But it's going to take an owner to sign off on this player. If I'm the Ravens, of course, I have no interest in him for obvious reasons. But I do think the NFL, he said on an interview that they haven't talked to him. He hasn't reached out to the young lady. The interview that I saw him conduct, he came across as not a good person, Nestor. He came across, I don't think he gets it. He's very young. I don't think he understands consequence yet. I think he's 23. I think he's got a couple of years to go. But you got a question about who was around him, his people, older players, whoever his circle of influence was, and where were they when he needed them.
Well, as Luke said, he did himself no favors, by stepping out in the way he did. Dennis Koulatsos is here, and I guess, and I know you try to avoid the political side of this, and I know you had a very, very strong stance on the knee last year in Wembley and around the league and Colin Kaepernick, and we've all said things, and look, the pig socks and all the stuff when Bisciotti was dancing with signing in with the girlfriend, and being outspoken and being disrespectful is different. And look, Kaepernick's blackballed, and yet Dan Snyder will sign a guy slugging his wife. And to your point, at some point, if this kid can run the ball, someone will be glad to dredge up the kicking of the head of a woman on a videotape. Ray Rice has been toxic. I don't. It is interesting to me, the toxicity in some cases, and the genuine, look the other way and we'll just be fine with things in other cases. And I don't even know how to play this down the political pole of right or left or center, just what it is. Colin Kaepernick, toxic. Ray Rice, toxic. Joe Mixon, running the football. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's very, very strange to me.
Well, what about Tyreek Hill? Fifth-round draft pick of the Chiefs, should have been a first-round draft pick. But again, he also had some flags in terms of some domestic things that happened to him while he was in college. He still got drafted. So that's the other hypocrisy within the hypocrisy that, you got two Chiefs players that had some flags, and now one gets to keep his job. And to me, unless the video comes out in the NFL, that's the message. You have a job. Once that video hits and TMZ gets a hold of it, in regards to Ray Rice and Kareem Hunt, then you all of a sudden don't have a job. Why should a video make that big of a difference, Nestor?
Well, and especially if you're sitting on the video.
Correct.
That makes it.
TMZ can get it, but the NFL can't get it. I guess in life you can get what you want if you're really looking for it. If you're not looking for it, you don't want to get it. That's the way you behave.
Dennis Koulatsos is here. The Kansas City Chiefs are there. The Baltimore Ravens will be going there. And because we're not getting together on Thursday, some thoughts about not just the Chiefs, but the league and what happened with the Steelers on Sunday night and them getting rolled the way they did, and where the Ravens find themselves, I don't want to say in a catbird seat, because going to Kansas City and needing to win or wanting to win, or going to Carson now in 3 weeks and needing to win or wanting to win, if they drop these two games, what does it say about you that you can't go and win in Kansas City, you can't go and win out in California, that you're going to go to Houston or go to Pittsburgh and win, right? But Pittsburgh themselves are in trouble with their schedule and where they are and the way they looked on Sunday night. I remember Coach Billick, our partner here on behalf of the Living Classrooms Foundation, always saying, it's sitting right there for you. It's sitting right there for you. And in the case of the Ravens, it's sitting right there for them. And it really begins with going out to Kansas City and not looking like a lousy 7-7 team facing a 14-2 team, right? That's the way it looked 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe with the problems they've had there, and they struggled defensively against the Oakland Raiders on the road this week. Things are probably not rosy there for them without their quarterback, and based on what's going on there, Andy Reid has to hold that together a little bit out there, and they're a double-digit favorite here. No one expects the Ravens to go out and give the Chiefs a game this week.
Yeah, if there was ever a classic trap game, this is it, and Andy Reid's well aware of that now. Can he get that message through to his football players? That's the question. You can't tell me that the Kareem Hunt situation isn't a cloud, isn't something that's in the back of the minds of some of his teammates. By all accounts, he was likable by his teammates. He was a good teammate, and that's going to leave a huge void in a running game. If they can't run the ball, and that's the big thing in the NFL, if a team can't run the ball, they become one-dimensional. They become much easier to defend. I like the way the Ravens are playing defense right now. You mentioned the defensive backs, how sticky they are, how competitive they are, how combative they are. They fought the Falcons receivers all the way to the ground, ripping balls out left and right. I like the chances that the Ravens have against anybody, even Kansas City on the road. They're not going to win a shootout with them. Nobody will, unless the name of the L.A. Rams. But I think one team I want to point our attention to is the Houston Texans. Start the season 0-3. Bill O'Brien was on the hot seat. They won 9 straight. Okay, to me, there's similarities between the Ravens and the Texans. Strong defense, solid running game. Deshaun Watson hasn't thrown the ball more than 24 times in the past 7 games. The biggest difference, of course, is they have DeAndre Hopkins and Demaryius Thomas. It would be nice if the Ravens had Hopkins and Thomas on this team right now. They could really not just get in the playoffs or make a long run into the playoffs, but the whole landscape of the AFC has changed. The Patriots, I mean, they look good, beating the Vikings Sunday. I watched that game, but again, they're not world beaters. As Coach Billick said, this thing is sitting there for the right team to get hot at the right time. And that's the thing. Have the Houston Texans peaked too early? Same thing with the Chiefs. We'll see. But you and I have seen a lot of strange things happen in December, as you know, in our career, in our lifetime watching the NFL, haven't we?
Well, the Patriots look vulnerable too. It's not. I mean, they're 9-3, but the rest of their schedule at Miami, all right, at Pittsburgh, and we talk about the difficulty for the Steelers of that game. It's also a difficult game for the Patriots. And somebody's going to pick up a loss there. They have the Bills and the Jets at home to end the season, so they get 2 bye weeks, and then that will qualify them for a third one. So you know they have the easiest road, I would say, at this point traditionally from where they've been, where you know the Ravens and the Steelers and the Chiefs are going to be slugging this thing out with tougher games, I think.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But look, I like our chances. We're not supposed to be here at this point, right? We were 4-5. We're not supposed to be here. And if they can get into the dance, you talk about playing with house money, being loose and wide open, and as this rookie quarterback continues to improve, I mean, he is improving week by week. He went a little bit backwards Sunday with the fumbles. He's got to take care of the football, and that's the big key. When they go to Kansas City, if they can take care of the ball, win the turnover battle, take Kansas City deep into deep water in the fourth quarter, they can possibly drown out the Chiefs. And wouldn't that be something? That would talk about feeling good in this town, being painted purple once again. You would see the collegiate-style atmosphere that we have, the passion for the team, come back big time. And frankly, for me, Nestor, I don't care who plays quarterback, just as long as we're winning. Just win, baby, in the great words of the great Al Davis. Just win.
You know, the long tail on the Ravens-Chargers game is if the Ravens can get there in decent shape, that game has a lot of turnaround because the Chargers have to go play the Chiefs before they play us. They play the Chiefs on Thursday night next week. They play the Chiefs Thursday night on the 13th, and then they play us on long rest, but then they have to go to Denver to end the season too. So, you know, there's a lot going on for the Chargers. They have 3 pretty tough games the rest of the way. So that, you know, that 5 seed's not all locked up for them any more than the division is locked up for the Steelers at this point. And the Ravens are surging in a positive direction, getting healthier, including Joe Flacco, who I'm going to keep going back to that, Dennis. We haven't heard the end of Joe Flacco as I know it. I believe that.
Yeah, well, I hope not for all the right reasons. And the Chargers, look, they don't scare anybody. They can't run the ball that well. They're missing Melvin Gordon. I don't believe he'll be available in a matchup against the Ravens. He's going to still be out. I think they're expecting him back in week number 15. And they will have played that game long before he comes back to the team. So, again, defense and the running game, they travel very, very well, and that's a fact in the NFL.
Appreciate you, man. We will be checking back in again next week with you. Have a great week and enjoy the Thursday show. Tell them what's going on at Coons Florida Security Boulevard. What do you have? It's December there. You still have some 18s laying around, right?
Yeah, here's what I have. I have 0% for 72 months on most of my 18s, which is a ton of money to be saved, especially with these $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 trucks and SUVs. A customer can save $5,000 to $7,000 to $8,000 in interest charges. Not many manufacturers right now are offering a 0%. And Ford Motor Company, stronger than ever. Ford Motor Credit giving up 0%, which, you know what, you put no money down, you have low payments. It's just a great time to come out here. I've got over 1,000 brand-new vehicles in stock and over 200 pre-loved vehicles in stock. Selection is great. Service is great. Body shop parts. We're a one-stop shop for anyone's automotive needs.
And a stone's throw from 695. We'll see you on Thursday from 3 to 5. Dan, thanks for coming on.
Thanks a lot, Nestor. Be well.
Dennis Koulatsos talking football, getting down and dirty, rolling our sleeves up here for Kansas City to eat some barbecue. Luke will be out in Owings Mills all week long. I got some Terps. I got some Kansas City, some residue from Atlanta, some inspiration, some perspiration. You can find me out on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on Facebook Live, as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. Make sure you join our WNST text service. That is sponsored by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. When the Orioles find a manager, you'll get it first on your phone. That's the way the WNST text service rolls from the beginning. We're now 14 years into our text service. It's crazy. Going into 2019 and now our 22nd year at WNST. Wow. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.